Hey there, and welcome to another video on optimizing online teaching. My name is Brandon, and today we are going to be discussing how to use video editing software to help you put together an online recital that is polished and professional, not to mention fun and exciting. So let's dive right in. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at today as we're putting together our online recital are the files that your students will be sending you of their performances. So one thing that you will want to do to make your life easier when asking for these files is to ask each student to submit them with a standardized name format so that you can easily see at a glance what students have submitted their performances, the name of the piece that they are playing, and the composer that composed the music or the movie that the music is from, one of those things. This is really, we've found to be very important because, like I said, you can see at a glance which students have put in what. So we can go down right here and see that all of these students that submitted their files, and we can then see which ones we're still waiting on. We also then know exactly what they're playing here. We can move this out so that we can see the full title right here. So then you have that when you're doing title cards and that within the recital. You don't have to try to remember what's this called, or I've heard this, but I can't remember the name. You've got it right here. And then, of course, here at the end, we have the composers, or in this case, this is from a movie, so they've got the name of the movie here. And then you can also add that to your title card. So having this system set up is going to save a lot of time, just helping you to understand what you got, who's playing what, and where it came from. Now you can go even further in your organization if you want to. For example, these two students here have folders. So let's take a look at what's inside of these. So in this case, this student has submitted 3 different pieces for the recital. Sometimes you might have someone that does one long piece, and then other times you might have someone that wanted to do 2 or 3 shorter pieces. So they'll be submitting more than one performance. So as you can see here, this student has 3 different performance pieces that she has submitted. Now, this may occur if someone has decided to work on 2 or 3 shorter performance pieces rather than someone else might just submit one longer piece. So if someone's submitting multiple pieces, you can put them in a folder specifically for that student so that you can see at a glance everything that the student has submitted. And then you can remember, oh yes, this student has submitted 3 performance pieces, so I can make note when I'm making title cards and that this individual has 3 different pieces. Now, the other thing that you can do with multiple files with a student is what this student did. Now this student has it's the same piece, but in this case, she has submitted 2 different shots or perspectives of the performance. So she has an overhead showing her hands from up above, and then she has a side shot. And these are clearly marked here so you know exactly which is which. As you're putting these on your tracks, when you're editing the recital and putting it together in your video editing software, having these labeled, explaining exactly which shot perspective you have is going to save you a lot of time. You can see at a glance which shot you're working with as it's on the track. So those are a couple of subfolders or additional categorizations that you can do to make it even more clear. In this case, this just has the name of the individual indicating that inside there are probably different pieces. In this case, the name of the piece that the student is playing is right here, so you know that probably inside there are various shots for that one piece. So you can come up with your own system of how you would like students to submit these files, the naming and all of that. This is just one example, something that we do that helps us, but you're welcome to create your own organizational system for this. Okay, so we've got our files here for the recital. The next thing we need to do is to jump in to the video editing software and start editing, putting all these files in there. So we're going. The first step we do is we take all of these files and we add them to the media bin in the video editing software. So I will go ahead and pull up the software that I use, which is Camtasia. And here it is. Now there are various types of video editing software out there. Because we can't go through each one and do them all justice, I'm going to show you today what I and my wife Cami use when editing our videos and courses in our online piano studio. Now, we looked long and hard to decide, to end up with Camtasia, and there are some reasons for us. Something else might work better for you, and I'll explain why we use this. With the type of coursework we do, we found that Camtasia is really good at recording multiple sources. So with the videos that we create, for example, we have a webcam shot of Cami as she's talking, and then we have the screenshot that we're capturing what she's doing on her screen, and then we have an overhead shot showing her hands and the piano keyboard, so that you can see her talking, you can see what she's doing on the screen if she's interacting with Piano Marvel or with our own studio courses. You can see that, and you as well as also see her playing simultaneously. So Camtasia does a great job of recording all those together, and it's a fairly intuitive system. I would liken it to driving like an automatic car. It does a lot of the gear shifting and that for you that a manual car wouldn't do. Now, having said that, some people prefer the manual car because you have more customization. And there are programs out there that do that too. For example, DaVinci Resolve is a great program, but you have to know a lot more about video editing. It's not packaged quite as nicely, or a lot of the commands you have to add yourself rather than having the software package it all nicely for you. So you do have more customization and control, but there's, I think for me, in my opinion, a bigger learning curve to learning all of the more technical aspects of something like DaVinci Resolve. Now, the really cool thing about DaVinci Resolve, however, is that it is free. There's a free version of it, and there's also a pro version, but it is such a robust program that almost everything, probably, I can safely say everything you're going to need for editing recitals or anything else you might be doing online can easily be done in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. Just keep in mind it may require a little bit more of a learning curve to really master it. The downside of Camtasia is it is not free. It's a paid product. And in addition to that, every time a new upgrade comes out, generally you have to pay for that upgrade. And it's a one-time payment, but it can get kind of spendy. It can be a couple $100 to start, and then maybe $150 or $60 to upgrade. Now, you don't need to upgrade if you're fine with, if you don't need the latest and greatest. Often there's not a need to upgrade, but occasionally, just to sweeten the pot, they'll add additional visual effects or some different transitions or annotations to kind of get people to upgrade, but there's really no need to. So it's all up to you. iMovie is also a possibility that you can use. There's Adobe Premiere, there's OBS, Final Cut Pro, Filmora Pro. So you can just decide what works best for you. But for us, the Camtasia system has been great. Okay, so having said all that, let's import our media into this particular file that we've created in Camtasia. So we come over here. When you open it up, it should go to the media file. You've got your window over here of different areas that you can work in Camtasia. You can see there's a few more that aren't even able to be shown here. So these are all the different areas that you can work with in Camtasia, but we're starting here in the media file bin, and we are going to import media. So when you have an empty bin, you have this import media button here that you can click, which is really handy. Once you add some files, that will go away, but I'll show you how you can add additional files after that. So as we'll hit import media, and then we will want to choose the folder that this is in. So mine is here, and it is in, I believe, here, and then here they are. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull these all over. I can select them all with Command A or Control A, depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC, or you can click on one and then hit Shift and click on the end one and select all those. Once you've got everything you want, go ahead and click Import here. And then you'll need to wait for a minute here. And if there are any errors importing the files, it will let you know here. So that's another thing. Make sure that when your students are submitting these files, that they're in a format that you can work with. We've had trouble where people will try to just send them via a text message over their phone, and it creates really poor resolution and is not in the right format appropriate for showing on YouTube. So you do want to make sure that the file type is good. A .mp4 is good, .mov, several .mp3 even for audio. That's an older one, but all of these can be used. Just make sure it works with whatever system you're working, not only your computer, but your video editing software. So we'll go ahead and close that. Now you can see that we did get several of those files over. You'll want to go back and look at the ones that said that they were in the wrong format. I think what happened was we tried to pull over folders, and you can't actually pull over folders. So like I said, I was going to show you what happens once you have media bin items here and you want to add more. If you go down here to this little plus symbol, that'll allow you to add more. So we're going to go back and you click on that, and then generally, unless you have it sent directly to your Google Drive or some other place, you can go directly there. They do give you that option, but generally if it's on your computer or elsewhere, you can just choose this import media. So we'll go ahead and click that. Now I believe these are this one here, and this one here was the one that gave us an error. Again, I think it's because we tried to import a folder. You cannot import folders. You can only import individual files. So for these, we're going to have to go into each one of these, select those, hit import, then they'll put them in. You wait for this. It'll have that little spinning wheel there. Just wait till that's gone. That'll show that they're in there. Then you can go back, import media, go back to the main file, and then go in here to the second student that had a folder, select all, and import. Okay, so now we should have everything in there, and that's how you import media from your computer or your email or wherever it is into your video editing software in Camtasia. All right, at this point it's a good idea to go ahead and save. You come up here and look. If there's a red dot here, you know that you have unsaved changes. So you can go ahead and you can go here and hit save, or you can do Command or Control S, as most software does, to save. Go ahead and save this. So I will hit save. Now I already have a name. We'll let it save here. It can take a while to save because you've just downloaded a bunch of files, and they're video files and they're often high density. So it may take a little bit of time to save these. Okay, once they're saved, if it's the first time you've created an untitled project in Camtasia, it's going to ask you where you want to save it, in what file and what folder. But that did not come up here because I've already created mine, but that will come up and you can select the file, you can select the folder or your location where you want those to be. Okay, so we've just talked about how to import your videos into the media bin in Camtasia.